Very good. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kathy Baumgardner. I'm a literacy consultant, and I have the pleasure of working in Charles County schools a lot. And I'm particularly happy this week to be here at Mount Hope. And I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. And thank you so much for showing your support for your children. And so I'm going to go straight to our share screen, and I'm going to share with you things that I think are really, really important for us to know as parents of students in grades 3 through 5, and ways that you can help at home. Knowledge is power. And as I said, that's what I do. I go around and help with our help teachers. We're lifelong learners, and I work in classrooms and I work with children, and we definitely want to make a difference in their lives. So, we know the importance of reading in our kids' lives. So thank you for being here to help with that. So I know your question is always, what can I do to support? So I want to share several things that you definitely can do. Understanding what exactly it is your child is doing. Understand that literacy in the year 2022 comes in many forms. Math, there's literacy in math. There's literacy, definitely lots of literacy in science and social studies. So understanding how important all of that is. But you are your child's first teacher. And when they are at home, they're at home with y'all a lot more than they're with us. Well, it doesn't seem that way sometimes, but I get that during the pandemic, it really felt that way. And understanding that, that your input, your support, your interest, your attitudes, all these things that you do that supply your child with so many opportunities to reach their potentials, so important. You're always wanting to know how they can help. Well, let me just tell you this. I'm just going to share a few things tonight that can help you. Small changes can make a big difference. So I'm not going to ask you to do a million different things, but I am going to talk to you about things that really, really do make a big difference in our children and in their progress, and understanding what it is that they are up against. So family literacy. This is why family literacy is so important. This is what it's defined as. Family literacy refers to the ways families develop and use literacy skills: reading a book together at bedtime, during the day, playing word games, singing, writing to a relative or friend, sharing day-to-day tasks, making shopping lists, doing things with your child that involve speaking, that involve vocabulary, that involve gaining experience and prior knowledge, that involve them reading are so important. And the research shows that kids who have family support, who have connections with the schools and in those activities, have higher rates of success in schools than kids who do not. So bless you for being here. That's already telling me that the folks that are here understand the importance of that. Also understanding what exactly it is our children have to do. Well, one of the things we do know is we have a problem in our country, and that is that we only have, as of 2019, and that was before the pandemic, we only had 35% of our 4th and 8th graders in this country who were reading on or above grade level. Only 35%, which tells us 65% are not. So, wow, that's kind of like a shot of cold water on us when we think about that. So we know that we're working hard. We're doing the best we can. You guys are doing the best you can. But you know what? There's things we can do that are better. Now we know that. And we're beginning to grow and move with our kids and do some things that we know will help with that. Understanding that we have got some definite gaps because our kids have missed some of those important skills and strategies that they would have learned had they been in school full time. So one of the things that is really important for you to do, particularly as children in grades 3 through 5 need to know, is you need to stay directly in touch with your child's teacher and find out, how is their reading comprehension? How is their reading accuracy? And when you're reading with your child, if you notice some things, they would be glad to talk to you about that, because those are things that we're all working on, because otherwise that whole thing is upside down, and we need your help with that. Human brains. This is something that the latest brain research has shown. Now, who knew this? Reading. This is why reading is so tough. And I guarantee you, if I can't see the parents that are here or not, but I know this. Many of you know that your child has struggles in the reading piece, or they're disinterested in it. They don't care. Then we have kids who love it, and that's great. I have a feeling that Mount Hope's proficiency rate is much higher than the country's is, right? That you saw there, but we know that we have to keep that growing, and the human brain is not set to learn to read. And even as an adult, we're still learning things sometimes. We encounter words we don't know, and new vocabulary is being added to our 1.5 million words in our English lexicon all the time. So it's important that we know that they don't naturally learn that. So they have to have repetition. They have to have direct instruction. They have to be taught explicitly. There's a thing called the simple view of reading. And one of the things there, it's not really so simple, because what it tells us is that it takes both of these things right here. So if your child is a struggling reader, if they are having difficulties with that, if they read like jackrabbits and they read well, they can call words, but you ask them a question, they go, I don't know. Well, that means that language comprehension is not strong enough. If they are struggling to read the words, that means their word recognition, their understanding of sounds and words is not strong enough. Sometimes we have kids that are struggling both of those areas. So when you're reading with your child, and it's really important for you to read with your child at home, have them read to you, for you to read to them and ask them questions, to take that decoding piece off their plate and see if they're understanding what they're reading. All of that comes together, as you can see, to do reading proficiency, which means they can read the words accurately and proficiently, and they know what they read. They can tell you answers. They know who the characters are. They know what the topic is. They know what the main ideas are. And so those are the things that is important for us as parents of kids grades 3 through 5 to know, because it's on that. Language comprehension is their ability to understand, make sense spoken language. That means when somebody talks to them, they can understand what they're saying and making meaning from what they hear. And all these things develop naturally. So it's just like crawling or eating or learning to talk. That comes natural. So that's why we have some kids that can just chatter away. And if you read them a story, they can tell you the answers. They know stuff. They can't read it themselves. The reason for that is that word recognition, that is letters make sounds. Those sounds come together to make words. Words make sentences. Sentences make paragraphs. Paragraphs make books. And so the ability to read the words on the page involve the automaticity of decoding. And that does not develop naturally. It has to be will not learn that by osmosis. They will not learn that by listening. They will only learn that being taught to look at those letters, to decode the sound in those letters. And so when you are reading with your child, it's important that you know that, because they don't need to be guessing at what the word is. They don't need to be skipping it. Rather than let them skip and go on, stop them right there and say, wait a minute, go back here. Let's read this word together. Let's start on the left. Let's go to the right. Each sound, because every letter is something called phonemes that may have those. So you want to make sure that they can read those words. And they understand. That's my favorite cartoon that I shared a while ago even with the little ones. I taught my dog how to whistle. And the little boy said, hey, I don't hear him whistling. I taught him. I didn't say he learned it. We want our kids to learn it. And we know they have to learn it through intentional, explicit, sustaining teaching, which is what your child's teacher is doing every day, working on that. And we need your home support. We need you asking them questions. We need you reading with them. We need you seeing what you think. What are they struggling with? Why do they not like this, or why do they like this better? Because that can help their achievement in reading. And again, 26 letters, 44 sounds of those letters, and understanding about the fact that there are consonants and there are vowels, and every word that they read has a vowel in it. And the parts of the words are called syllables. See, we're teaching these things every day and trying to help with that. And so it's important, because this is what I wanted to share a little bit with you about too. This is called MCAP. And for those of you who have, maybe you're fifth graders, I'm trying to think, and I'm looking over it, and I'm not sure the last year that they took MCAP. I don't think even fifth grade has had it. Nope, they haven't. And the kids look at me like, I don't know what that is. Well, MCAP basically is a state assessment in Maryland. It is required by the federal law that all students are assessed so they can see where the kids are, so they can measure progress. And Maryland educators are highly involved in the improvement and the ongoing. So now it's called MCAP. And so basically the scores demonstrate a student's understanding of that particular, if it's a third grader, of third grade standards. If it's a fourth grader, it's the fourth grade standards. Right? It's the fifth grade standards. And the school reports are a tool that the teachers can use. And basically they'll be able, like next year, the teacher in their class will be able to have those scores which show where your child's strength is and where your child needs additional help with. And that's a very helpful thing, because assessment can help drive a much clearer and stronger and more sustaining lesson planning for your child. And, basically together, everybody can decide how to support our child's learning for that. So that's one of the things you need to know. So these are some websites, and I want to make sure that nothing's blocking this. I'm going to move it out of the way. These are some websites that have practice tests on them. As a parent, let me just tell you, I'm all over this. And I've done this always. I want to sit there and see, because your child takes the assessments, they take them online, and you can go online at these websites. And I'm going to give these links to your school, and you can get them from them. And these are ways that you can go on and see what it's like, and go through it with your child and talk to them about this, the importance of being able to show what you know. It's not all about just, we're not trying to teach a test, not trying to teach them for the test, but we want them to be proficient, and we want them to not be afraid of any of it. We want them to know that you read this, just like you questions, and then they have to write. The other thing, your child will be writing with you as well. And the student results, by the way, come back next. I think they'll get them in September. And they come home with the child. So you'll be able to see, have more information about that. But the reason I wanted to share you some stuff tonight is because these are things that you can do to help your child, because they're going to be taking these assessments. I think they start in mid-April, which is next month. And then they give them in makeups and stuff all the way through early June, I believe. But these are the MCAP assessments. And basically, that each day they take them, it's like 40 to 70 minute units. It's not a long time. And actually, it's not even timed now. They give them additional time when they need it. But it's a way to find out if they're truly reading and if they truly understand what they're reading. And so I think it's important for us to kind of know. So these are some of the things that you can see on those links that I showed you. This is the one from the mdassessments.com. This is a question. Now look at this question. See if you can get this question. It's a third grade question. Which word has the same sound as the underlined letter in the word circle? Now notice it said which word has the same what? Sound, not the letter. Now looking down there, you've got backward is D, bucket, cotton, or safety. Now the problem is circle makes the sound of S. And what letter makes that sound? Most of the time, S. But in this case, it doesn't make the sound of cotton, because that's a hard C. The soft C sounds like the S. So the answer there is A. Well, see, they're not trying to trick them. They're trying to find out if they know their sounds and if they know how to read that. Which word has the same sound as the underlined part in the word scoot? Ooh, ooh. Is it nothing, peanut, beauty, or found? Well, the answer for that is beauty. Scoot, beauty, ooh. See, they're not the same letters, but they are the same sound. That's why I said, that's why we have to work on both pieces of that. Which word has the same sound as the underlined part of the word before? And of course, that's the F. And it's shepherd, 80, mother, enough. This is what they would need to know. They would need to know that OUGH makes UF sound, like rough and tough and enough. There is something that has F in it. So again, it goes back to them being able to read and decode. This is the type of a item they have on the MCAP. It's part A and part B. And what you can talk to your child about is, hey, don't forget you've got two parts here. This part, what is the central message of the passage? And they should try to narrow it down to at least two and then go down to part B. Which paragraph from the passage best supports the correct answer to part A? Well, if I think it's that, then I'm going to go look to see, I'm going to look at these paragraphs and see if that's the right thing. And when they scroll down, they'll be able, I can't scroll, this is the picture of it, but when they scroll down, they'll be able to find that and check themselves. So tell them, take your time, check yourself, go and find this piece before you leave both of these, because if they don't get both of them correct, they won't get the full credit. They also have to write. And so they read two excerpts, basically articles. Why do adults think video games are bad, and are video games bad for me? And they read the passages, and then it says, after reading the passages, do you think that video games are good for children or bad for children? This is a third grade prompt. Write a response in which you can clearly state your opinion on the issue. Support your opinion with reasons and details from both passages. Well, that's pretty tough. But they can do it, but they have to practice that. And they have to be able to talk to you a lot about what they're reading. That's why I want you asking them questions. What are you reading? What did you read today? Can you talk to me about something you learned about that topic? Or can you tell me what those characters were like in that book? Because I didn't get to read that. Can you explain that to me? Asking them questions, because that is the type of thing that will help them be able to answer and write questions like this. This is a fourth grade prompt. Why is Nita upside down is something they read, and Why the Platypus is Special is another text they read, two stories, and they're both about being different. So both these characters are different. And it asks them to write an essay, which is just paragraphs that explains the idea of being different, and it's how it's shown in both passages. And they want them to write about that. So you see, they have to be able to understand what this is telling them. They have to be able to know how to go back and analyze those characters, which is something you can do at home with them, getting them to talk about the characters, why they're doing things, about their actions, about their motivations, and about, what type of personalities or traits do they have. Because it says they have to include specific details from, and then one of them was a poem, by the way, and one of them was a play, but they both had stories in them. This is another fourth grade. The authors of the two passages use specific details to help the readers understand what it feels like to fly in either a hot air balloon or a spaceship. And they have to write a narrative, and a narrative is a story. That's why it's important at home sometimes, if you can get them to have, if they can have journals. I think it's very important that our children in grades 3 through 5 have journals at home where they can write stories, where they can write stories to read to you, where they can write stories about stuff they saw on TV or even video games they play. We just want them writing stories and understanding what a story is, has characters, it has settings, has a beginning, middle, and end. And at school, they're working on that too. But if they can work on it at home as well, it'll be very powerful. But they have to use the information from the passages. So they read something and they use that information to help them to develop their stories. And this, of course, now you see how it gets tougher as it goes. This is a fifth grade prompt. Both Harvey in the passage from Dear Mrs. Ryan and the narrator in the passage from Courage for Beginners are embarrassed by their parents. Write a response that explains how the narrators react differently when their parents embarrass them. So the two stories were different. Be sure to use details from passages to support your ideas. Well, that won't be so hard if they've read both passages and they know they're looking to see how they're embarrassed by their parents. And obviously, in these different stories were embarrassed in different ways, and that's what they have to be able to use in their response. They're not making it up, but like the other was a narrative, they would make up for that. In this case, they are not. So again, reading something, understanding it, understanding what it's asking them to do, and you can help them with that a lot. And also pay attention to I think we lost her. We've been muted though.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? It's back.
Yes, we can hear you.
This is paragraph 8. Okay. And when they look over here, they have to go to paragraph 8 to find that answer. We want them to again, following directions, following directions, not to zip through it or get confused by it, but rather to read it, take their time, be careful with it. Why do paragraphs 14 and 18 tell the reader about need? What do they tell them? And, they have to go over to the text and find that text evidence. And one of the things that everybody's going to get tonight, when I understand, text evidence, they can go into the text, home with your child, teach them how to be. Maybe we'll get this. We're almost through.
Sorry, we are having connection issues.
Yes, we are. It says it's unstable. All right.
We're gonna.
So bottom line is, you see, these are the things you see how complex this is. And that's why them reading at home with you, so important. Practice makes progress. Specific feedback. You can really help with your child at home with that, by reading with them, listening to them read, asking them questions, getting them to show you text evidence, setting them up in spaces and play things in your house where they can read together. And one more time. Yeah, I'm almost through. I think that's it. Maybe that was it. Yeah, it is. It's not about grilling. It's about checking in, asking different questions for fiction versus nonfiction. Last but not least, one of the big ways you can help them for assessments and for the MCAP is taking the stress out. Sufficient sleep. Your kid needs sleep. And I know we all know that, but they really, really do. The elementary students need 11 to 13 hours of sleep. And we're hoping that can happen. Brain food. They need good brain healthy food, and making healthy snacks with them, making sure that they definitely are, getting a good help with that is great. Techniques. This is something to help your child at home with, teaching them how to breathe in, breathe out, not get nervous about that. You don't have to teach them yoga, but you do need to teach them how to breathe and how not to get worried. And the last one is really the most important one to me, and that is encouraging your child. You can do this. My only thing I'm asking you to do is do your best. I believe in you. I believe you can do that. Read this to me. Tell me about what you've read, encouraging them all the time. That is by far the most powerful thing you can do to encourage your child to reach their fullest potential, because that is what we're after. And we know that literacy is a huge part of that. Making your home literacy rich, setting aside a time, setting aside a place, making them a little reading nook, having a place. I told K2 this, and I'll tell y'all the same thing. Whiteboards and markers. Kids like those. They can write words as they go along. Having a journal they write in. Again, writing while they're reading, writing while they're reading. So important. And these little things that they're getting tonight can also be very helpful. Thank you guys so much. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, but as we all just said, Ms. Brendel just said, we're out in the country. But again, thank you guys so much, and look forward to any questions that you happen to have. You can let me know. Thank you.